Welcome to Rockingham Speedway in Corby for another encounter at the Armed Force Race Challenge. This is a very special race. It's just for the British Army. The British Army Motorsport Association has organised this. We've got a nice grid of production vehicles, but I've got to chat to Will Ashmore.
Yep.
You've had a decent weekend already here at Rockingham. This race is just for the British Army, which puts you on pole position. Talk us through it. Tell us a bit what it's all about and why you're here.
Yeah, so this is our first sort of run out for the Army race, if you like. We piggyback off the back of the Armed Forces Race Challenge, and it's just because we're basically doing this. It's a good opportunity for us guys to get into motorsport for starters. But this race itself the Army team is growing so fast that we're starting to recognise the need to break away and have our own grids. So this is a bit of a teaser for that. Hopefully we can push that next year, fully supported by Nankang, who will be providing the tyres obviously for that. And yeah, hopefully it's going to keep growing and it will become a standalone series.
And it's not too restricted in terms of what you can do to the cars and the modifications.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're again off the back of the AFRC Armed Forces Race Challenge. We're still running the same classes, so 3 classes, Class A, B and C, and they're all power to weight based classes.
I'm about to go out racing. You're all lined up. Who's going to win?
So Matty's got a real powerhouse of a car. He's been nipping at the back of the podium all weekend, so he's going to be pressing me today, but hopefully between me and Matty, hopefully I can get a win. I've had 2 second place finishes, so wouldn't it be nice to finish up the weekend?
Yours is going to be better through the twisty section in the middle, but that's down our power. That's going to be something else on our straight.
Yeah, it's an absolute freight train on the straights. M3 engine, lightweight car versus a nippy car on the corners. Rockingham's really harsh on your tyres though, so we're all kind of at the end of our tyre life for this weekend. So we'll see how that pans out.
Good luck.
Yeah, thanks, man.
And with that, I'll hand you up to our race commentator, Andy McEwen.
Thank you, Anthony. Cars lining up on the grid then, and the big news is that we have lost Ed Fuller, who was due to start on pole position, so it's Rob Taylor on his own on row 1, ahead of Will Ashmore and Mark White, then Chris Dancer and Tom Sykes, with Simon Skirton and John Mitchell on row 4, Ben Grundy and Darren Berris at the back. So we don't have the Caterham 7. We do have Darren Berris's Westfield though, and that had some issues in qualifying, so he should be able to move forward from its starting position. But we are about ready to go racing with the BMW Compact of Robert Taylor on the front row of the grid, all on his own. The red lights go on, they go out now, and we are away and racing for 20 minutes here at Rockingham. It's a bad start from pole position by the BMW. Both of the Civics from the second row of the grid, Will Ashmore and Mark White, have been able to find a way through. And look at that start from Darren Berris. Goes from the back of the grid to lead before they even get out of turn 1. Astonishing stuff. So Berris leads the way. Ashmore in second place, but trying to fight back around the outside, under braking, can't quite do it. Then we've got Rob Taylor back into third place now, so he's fought back up the inside of Mark White in the EP3 Civic Type R. And then those 4 have got a bit of a break now over the Mini that's next in line of Simon Skirt. And then the sideways Mark 1 Ford Escort. That was a bit too sideways though. Over the grass goes Chris Dancer. He was dancing the tail end of that Mark 1 Ford Escort around through the right-hander at the end, but he did a good job of hanging on to it actually. And Mark 1 Escort often is seen sideways. More famous as a rally car than a racer perhaps, but that Mark 1 Escort being driven very hard indeed. So the top 4 making a bit of a break here in the early stages. Then the BMW there of Robert Taylor, one of 2 BMWs that we've got on the grid. We've also got Thomas Sykes in his 330 BMW running a bit further down the order. But these top 4, look at the gap that they've pulled out over the rest of the field. Darren Berris running in the Invitational class, but other than that, these are all cars running in Class A and B, and you've got Mark White there in the Class B Honda trying to get up the inside of Robert Taylor in the Class A BMW. Will Ashmore is also in Class B, so the 2 Civics in the same class, but BMW is not, and it's in theory a higher class, Class A, higher power to weight ratio. But he didn't really get off the line particularly well, so he's got some work to do now to try and get himself back up near the front. So across the line they come then at the end of lap number 1. Darren Berris leads the way. Second place is Will Ashmore. Third place is Robert Taylor. And fourth is Mark White. And they're a country mile ahead of everybody else as they turn their way through the first corner and back along the straight towards the Dean hairpin. Really difficult part of the circuit. Very easy down here to initial braking point, there's really an obvious braking reference there because it's such a wide expanse of space. So back down in towards Yenwood they go, using that sausage curb on the inside. So yes, these are all cars then that race in the Armed Forces Race Challenge, part of the 750 Motor Club race weekends, and now are trying to form their own British Army element. Of course, the Armed Forces Challenge is a championship that pits different members and different groups of the Armed Forces together, so Marines, RAF and Army themselves all come together, but this is just for the British Army, this Armed Forces Racing Challenge, the BAMA race. And hopefully they'll start getting bigger grids as we go in towards the end of this year and the start of next year. Darren Berris, though, classed the field in this one. As I said, issued in qualifying, but he's been able to put them behind him pretty rapidly, coming from the back of the grid to lead, coming out of the first corner of the first lap. But it's such a wide start finish straight here that you can do that. So the field work their way back down through the Brook chicane, and there you can see the BMW compact of Robert Taylor. It's not quite a standard compact, it's got a bit more aero on the car, the rear wing front splitter, just adding to the downforce and grip levels of the car. And you can see he's just starting to get himself into a bit of a rhythm now. He's pulling away from Mark White in the second of those Honda Civics. The top four, though, with this big old gap over what was Simon Skirton in fifth, because that's still going to be the gap as they come out of sorry, is that can still be the order as they come out to the final chicane? Yes, it is. There is Simon Skirton. Then you've got Chris Dancer in the Mark 1 Escort, and then Thomas Sykes in the BMW 330, who started better than that, but has dropped back a bit early on, trying to close in on the Mark 1 Escort. Both of these cars rear-wheel drive, but about 40 years or so between them, age-wise. Not that big a gap between them on the track there, only a few car lengths as they drop down into Dean Hairpin once again. See here from the onboard just how severe that little clunk is as they drop down off the banking and onto the flat of the infield. That BMW 330 is a production spec 330, so apart from the safety enhancements that have to be made to allow the car to race on the circuit, it's a completely standard car, so it is perhaps understandable why the BMW is just struggling a little bit here on such a tight technical circuit without race suspension and race brakes. It's just not quite got the cornering ability of some of the other cars out there that are a bit more race ready. Mark 1 Escort, you can see, has had a few modifications. That rear wing is not a standard part, needless to say. But always good to see a Mark 1 Escort out on the circuit. We don't get to see them all that often, so good to have one here at Rockingham for this British Armed Forces race. If anything, I reckon that Chris Dancer is catching Simon Skirton slightly in the Mini Cooper S. Great variety out there, though. Saloon cars, hatchbacks, sports cars. As I said, a mix of production and race cars as well. It's sort of a run what you brung, really, and whatever car you've got, there'll be a class for you. That's just one to play with. Most of these cars, in fact, all of these cars I'm seeing on screen at the moment, I think I'm right in saying, yes, are running in Class C. So the Escort is Class C, the BMW Class C, the Mini in front of Simon Skirton is actually the lead Class C cars. These are the top three cars in Class C at the moment. Heading back out across the start-finish line in towards Turn 1 again, flat out through the banking here at Rockingham, a really iconic piece of road. And the uncertainty of the future of this place, they'll be all looking to try and make the most of the opportunity to drive here. It's never been a bad circuit for drivers. The drivers have always enjoyed it. Oh, got a bit wayward there through the hairpin for Chris Dancer. He just about gets it back on track. Yes, it was. It's a circuit that is technically demanding, so it really works the cars quite hard, works the drivers hard as well, mentally and physically, and does produce lots of good racing when you get closer to do so. Lots of places where you can overtake around here. It's always been a popular circuit with the drivers, but it would be a shame to see it go, that's for sure. Down through the Kirby chicane come these two. Chris Dancer keeping the BMW of Thomas Sykes at bay for the time being. Not really making that much headway towards the race leader, it must be said. Back on board with Chris in the Escort, heading towards the left-hand race. As you can see there, the safety modifications made to the car, the roll cage that has to be fitted around the outside of the cockpit. Stop arching the roll or have a side impact. Really stop the bodywork intruding into the cockpit itself. With those sort of safety modifications modifications. You can take any old car you like really and turn it into a race legal racing car, and people do, and that's one of the joys of this sort of race, where you can bring pretty much any car that takes your fancy, and it will be eligible to race pretty much. Back out onto the banking he comes again, closing in on Simon Skirt a bit more now, I'd say, actually. Up against the pit wall, and he's sort of bringing Sykes with him, but no one's really close enough at the moment to have a legitimate go at getting through. Through turn 1 goes the Mini then of Simon Skirton, the Cooper S, leading in Class C, but not quite got the pace of the Class A and B cars to go with them at the front of the field. Around the Dean hairpin in towards the right-hander at Yentwood. These two tricky 90-degree right-handers. This one quite flat, bit off camber if anything, and then you go up over a crest through Chapman Curve, and that is even trickier because this is definitely off camber. It's over a blind crest. The road falls away from you as you go through it, and it just keeps on going and going and going, and then you've got to compromise the exit speed so as to be back over onto the right-hand side of the road in towards the Kirby chicane. Then we're into Piff Paff chicane, excuse me. Then this is Kirby. It's double apex left-hander. Missed the first apex, get the second apex. Oop, try not to run onto the crash though. I think that was Dancer that just drifted a bit wide. Then it's into Gracelands towards the end of the lap. Here's our race leader, Darren Berris. He in the Westfield V8, the V8 engine Westfield. Very good through the corners. Not sluggish in a straight line either, it has to be said. Darren, a regular front runner in the Armed Forces Challenge. And that's proved to be the case again here in this British Army race. Makes his way down towards the infield section. You can see the increased quarter speed of this car. In fact, he's not a million miles away from putting a lap on John Mitchell already in the little Renault Clio 182. You can see John there running out nice and wide, letting him go. Indicator on, very gentlemanly stuff there indeed from John. And so through goes Darren Berris. Back towards the left-hander at Gracelands again. That tricky corner again over a crest. A surprising amount of undulation here at Rockingham. That corner in particular made all the more tricky by it. Then into the hard-braking zone at Tarzan, another one of the good overtaking opportunities on the circuit. Car drift out wide, but not too wide, over that white line on the exit, then down the school straight past the racing school, behind the paddock, and then this very tricky Brook chicane, which is a very fiddly and very awkward way to end the lap, but it's easy to make a mistake through there and then leave yourself vulnerable to attack through the rest of the through the pit straight. So it's important you get a good exit from there. Of course, Darren Berris doesn't have to worry too much because he's about 12 seconds already up the road from the nearest rivals. There is his nearest rival. That's the second place man, Will Ashmore, in the Honda Civic VTI. He's past the Clio 182. Makes his way back through the first corner, and then the gap back to Robert Taylor and Mark White further back. But again, Will has pulled out about 6 or 7 seconds now over Robert Taylor in third position. Towards Yentwood. Army Motorsport stickers on the side of the car. Understandably, of course, it's great to have this racing though for a great cause, and the 750 Motor Club really getting behind the British Armed Forces Racing Association, and have been now for several seasons. It's glad to see that the various groups within the Armed Forces Challenge now starting to think about what they could do themselves and whether they could maybe have their own standalone races. And with a few more of them out there, and there's plenty of interest in the series, then this could definitely take off. Smoke there though from Ashmore's car, that's a little concerning. I'm hoping that was just tyre smoke. It's possible that it was. Concerning. Through Tarzan he goes. No, there's definitely more than tyre smoke. I think it's going to be off the rear tyres, and this of course is a front wheel drive on the Civic, so I'm expecting to be smoking the rear tyres, particularly if it was again through Brook, whether it's just under heavy load. It could be, because you can see the rear end of this car has been modified, the rear bodywork's been modified. It could just be that the tyres are rubbing on the bodywork. It might just be that there's not enough margin left between the top edge of the tyre and the bottom edge of the wheel arches, possibly, but that will be a bit of a concern for the team watching the pit lane. And there's Robert Taylor in the BMW Compact. He's becoming more and more popular as well, not just within their one make series, but we're seeing some modified versions like this cropping up all over the place. Good on board view here, Robert, as we drop down in towards the Dean Hairpin. So hit the brakes, down the gears, probably in second gear, I'd imagine, through here for BMW. And then back up towards the end when he goes, holding the same gear all the way up actually, into the right-hander. Uses the curb. Not too much of it though, out over the curb on the exit, but again not too much, otherwise you get told off for exceeding the track limits. Then through Yentwood. It's a tricky corner, just goes on that a little bit longer than you're expecting it to. Bit of a tail slide there from the BMW as he flicks now into Piff Path. Through the left, through the right, avoid the barriers, and then down onto the brakes into Kirby. Missed the first apex, turn in late, get the second apex. Yep, just about got the second apex, and then accelerate uphill. If you don't get that right though, the fact that you're accelerating uphill quite steeply will compound any sort of mistake that you make there. Now this battle that we were talking about maybe starting to bubble away before has now finally joined, and so Chris Dancer has caught Simon Skirt, and this is for 5th place. It's also for the win in Class C, because he's well and truly left Ben Grundy. In fact, Tom Sykes, I believe, has, Tom Sykes in the BMW we're hearing has pulled off. So unfortunately, Thomas Sykes with mechanical issues of some sort, that's taken him out of the race. He is our first retirement from the race, not counting the non-start for Ed Fuller. So Chris Dancer now starts to apply the pressure to the Mini of Simon Skirton as it makes its way up the hill, out of Chapman into out of Yentwood into Chapman, easy for me to say, and then back down towards Piff Path. Three-wheel drive Ford Escort Mark 1 versus front-wheel drive hot hatch Mini Cooper S. Your money on here, I don't suppose you know which way to go really. This is a circuit that does suit rear-wheel drive cars quite well though. These tight corners, the abrasive surface as well means that they just use their tyres a little bit more lightly than front-wheel drive cars do. Racing's then wide there for Dancer, but then it's wide as well for Skirton in the Mini. He's getting a bit sideways. Hartball's opposite lot there as he tries to gather it all together. Now into Tarzan, where the Escort will really try and use this rear-wheel drive traction on the exit of the corner, try to get himself alongside down towards the Brook chicane, but there's just nothing doing there. The Mini has just enough straight line speed, more modern car of course, and it's just enough to pull it back ahead again on the run down towards the final corner. But then the Escort, with its superior handling, you wouldn't think that of a car that's 40 years the Mini's junior, but it has that superior handling. It's just able to carry that bit more mid-corner speed. Then it gets onto the straight and can't really go anywhere with it. With a slipstream, I think the Escort's just about keeping up with the Mini. That's as good as it gets. It's not really able to close in and mount a significant challenge. So out towards the Dean Hairpin they go once again, getting into the final stage of this race now, and the Escort closer now than it was a lap ago though, so if it can start building up the challenge over the next couple of corners, there could be a move made somewhere halfway around this lap, but you feel that if it's going to do it, it will have to be somewhere on the infield. It's not the easiest part of the circuit to overtake there. Well, that will help though. Skirton out wide, and so Chris Dancer sees the chance, senses blood in the water. There'll be dirt on the Mini's tyres now as well for the next couple of corners. Tyres, when they get hot and sticky, they pick up debris and dust and dirt that little bit more easily, and of course that is detrimental to the grip levels. Out of curb, up the hill towards Gracelands. Mini ahead of Ford, and it looks as though that might not be the way it stays, because the Ford, although having said that, Chris Dancer's not quite as close now through Gracelands as it was a lap ago, so the gap's just continuing really to ebb and flow. It's not quite going the way of Chris Dancer for the time being. Into Tarzan again, he'll try and use that low down rear end traction coming out of the corner. You can see he closes in through the corner, that's the natural concertina effect. And then he waves through the race leader Darren Berris, who makes them look like they're going absolutely nowhere, but that's the difference in the classes, of course. That is an invitational class, so it doesn't actually fit into any one of the pre-designated classes as far as the regulations are concerned, but it's at the discretion of the clerk, of course. It's been allowed to race and keep up the numbers, more variety out on the track as well. Now, Chris Dancer might be a bit closer this time, going across the start-finish line, possibly about to build up a bit of an attack. Darren Berris goes through turn number 1 once more, up towards the Dean Hairpin again. Time for one, maybe two more laps. We'll have to wait and see whether we get a last lap order or a checkered flag at the end of this one. But Darren Berris in Westfield V8, never heading in this one. He's leading margin, getting on for 20 seconds, I think, between himself and Will Ashmore in second place, who is still second, I can tell you. Rob Taylor third and Mark White in fourth position, so that hasn't really changed since the drop of the green flag. Through Piff, Paff and Kirby is going our race leader, and soon surely to be race winner. Drops it down gears, taking it nice and easy now, I think, through Kirby. Realises just Darren there's not really any point in taking too many risks here. He has had quite a bit of track time this weekend already, of course, with the Armed Forces Challenge as well, so Darren, familiar with the circuit, knows it well, knows where it goes, knows what the best way of tackling it is, and he's demonstrated that beautifully here in this BAMA race, and he looks as though he's going to come home a winner. Out of the Tarzan hairpin, back up towards the Brook chicane again. And Darren Berris turns into the left, into the right, avoid those big sausage curbs, and then up towards the start-finish line, where I think he might be about to see a checkered flag. Darren Berris comes out to the final corner. He's got the Renault Clio in front of him now. I think they're going to get one more lap out of this. Yes, one more lap. So just snuck in before the time ran out. So Darren Berris gets another lap. He puts another lap therefore on John Mitchell in the Renault Clio 182. He gets to enjoy the Rockingham International Super Sports Car Long Course on one more occasion. This is the longest configuration of the Rockingham Motor Speedway, incorporating the banking, the oval section, and then this tight technical infield course. I say it's been popular with the drivers down the years, popular with spectators as well. You can see most of the circuit from any particular seat that takes your fancy in the grandstand. It's a great facility. A lot of money to the town of Corby as well over the years, where it's based. And Darren Berris will be very happy with his visit down to the Midlands, I think, the lower Midlands this time around, because he is surely going to come home a winner now. I hope I'm not cursing him. He's been able to stroke it home over these last few laps, and has now only got a couple of corners to go before he sees the checkered flag, a sight that he's been fairly familiar with in the past in the Armed Forces Race Challenge. And now he's going to do it again here. Down towards the Brook chicane he comes for the final time, turns it in, hard on the brakes, and then just feed the power through as gently as you can through the final couple of corners, up onto the banking for the final time, and Darren Berris is going to win the BAMA Armed Forces Race Challenge race here at Rockingham. Checkered flag for Darren Berris, fantastic win for him, and it is by a long, long way as well. Will Ashmore nowhere in sight at the flag. We reckon this is going to work out to about an 18-second deficit. The next car is not Will Ashmore, that's the lapped John Mitchell. There goes Will Ashmore, and then it is going to be the two lapped cars there, Simon Skirton and Chris Dancer, which threw me for a second. They are a lap down fighting for position. And it will be Simon Skirton's winner that takes the Class C honours. Robert Taylor comes home in the podium positions as well. Confirmation of the result then, Darren Berris by 18 seconds over Will Ashmore, Robert Taylor, Mark White, Simon Skirton, Chris Dancer, Ben Gundry, and John Mitchell, the last of the finishers. Unfortunately, we lost Thomas Sykes, and Ed Fuller was a non-starter.
Oh, Will, I spoke to you before the race. You said it was going to be close. It didn't work out that way, but congratulations on the win anyway.
Yeah, thanks very much. It was interesting because I was hoping to have a good battle with Matty. Didn't quite work out, and then you had the dark horse, Darren, coming from the rear, just blasted past everyone from the back. Up to the straight, but he's invitational cast, so he won't pick up, not that we're running points for this round, but any trophies at least. But it was a good race. It was good. I was out on my own for quite a lot, but good to get through some of the traffic, and hopefully, as I said at the start, this series that we're going to start pushing can grow.
Yeah. It's quite a rapid little Civic you got there.
Yeah, it's done me well. I've had 2 years of woes with that car, so it's been a lot of development and a lot of money to get it to where it is now. But yeah, it goes well, but there's always room for improvement.
Well, you've had a fantastic weekend. Go and enjoy it. Well done.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Well, Matt, second place. It's not a bad finish. Well done.
Yeah, I'm chuffed to muck, to be completely honest. I've literally just built that car. I built it January, March, April in the evenings, having had an accident at the Burkitt last year. So I'm just happy that the car's coming together now and it's working. It's good. I just need to get to grips with it a little bit.
Yeah, from a spectator's point of view, it's fantastic to watch. But for now, go and enjoy it. Well done.
Super, thanks so much for your help.